All right. Before I do the corny intro. Welcome to the thing. Should I have a welcome phrase?
It's your YouTube channel.
I don't know. All right.
This
is the nerd sesh for week 4 of the calendar. It's Necrotic, Spiteful. I guess I'm just gonna start with other side, so we don't have to like make a full route, but like I kind of just want to go through it and like figure out which packs might hurt a lot, and then while we do that, we can kind of just like talk about in general, like for each tank, how you kind of deal with it, or really not even tank, just like each group.
Yeah.
I feel like this first pull doesn't really matter because it dies really before Necrotic starts to add up. I feel like a lot of other side is like that.
Yeah. The big issues that... Go ahead.
Oh, I just can't say the only real issue in the other side, the biggest issue is in the Arden Wield Wing, because the rest of them have enough casters that you don't really stack up a lot of Necrotic
Right.
stack.
You want to bring like 1 or 2 ways at least to reset in here. The other thing is that there's so many ghosts that are going to spawn because of Spiteful. That can get a little bit sketchy. But like, what I feel like saves a lot of time and a lot of like hassle is like, if you pull all this and then pull it kind of back towards this door and then tell your group like get out in front of the ghosts. Like, I think that'll be like something I say a lot this week is like get in front of the pack so that you're not like running through the ghosts or around them. But like, basically if you can get on the other side of the pack, like the ghosts don't even matter. Unless you're in melee, in which case good luck. Yeah, this should be pretty fun.
Yeah, whenever you have Spiteful, the easiest way to deal with them is have all the mobs die at the same time, and then you just move on.
That's true.
Since it doesn't happen,
bolster killing.
Yeah, like, yeah, basically you'd handle it just as you would handle bolstering. And yeah, and if the group knows where the tank's going to be going next, or if that's kind of like more... I guess it gets with groups where if you can start like anticipating that and know where the tank's going to move, then getting ahead of the pack will help you a lot. That's where you'll go from groups that can't, like groups that can't survive to groups that thrive. Like even melee, even if you're a complete melee team, you can still do Spiteful as long as you apply those kind of mechanics.
That makes sense. I like this Necrotic week more than the other one because the other one was Sanguine, which like would confuse you because you want to like knock and ring a piece for the Sanguine, but you also want to do it for like helping the tank. This one's kind of good because at least it's like both of them. Like at the end of the pull, the tank needs to run, and at the end of the pull, the shades are coming out and everyone else needs to run. So like you can just bind at the end of the pull and it's like hard to fuck it up. I guess like Tar Trap is gonna be epic. I've been leveling my shaman a little bit, and that like slow totem is fucking sick because it has like a 20-second duration and a 30-second cooldown. I've just been using it like on pull, so anything that you could use to like slow the mobs is gonna be sick. The other side seems pretty good.
Yeah, for the start of the dungeon though, the only pain point I would say is when you get to the casters, the death speakers, if your group isn't on point with every single caster cast, as well as getting the disease off of you, you're going to feel those mistakes a lot more necrotic when you can't get healed halfway through the pull as much.
True.
And you're going to have those issues. Whereas if you're interrupting all that stuff, yeah, you have reduced healing, but the caster bolt is not going to be as unrecoverable because it's not going through.
How do you guys feel about lusting the second pull and doing like big CDs here and then lust here?
Usually, yeah, like in higher keys, you just a lot of groups will just invis past the first pull and put all and lust into the Death Speaker pull pack. But if you're going just as a regular route, just press W, then yeah, having lust on Death Speaker usually is a good thing in my opinion, especially because of the increased healing.
Cool.
With haste.
True, yeah, you could spam it.
Any other thoughts from you, Kyle, or because that's what I was thinking there.
Kyle might get baby aggro on and off through this, by the way. So if he's not talking, that might be why. I'm gonna go to halls next. This is my favorite dungeon.
Also, one of what I would rank one of the harder dungeons to deal with, the Necrotic, especially with the bleeds.
There's a lot going on, like hitting the tank. But that's kind of why I like halls, and maybe we'll get into that when we do like the tier list thing. Is like a lot of the stuff is really only a danger to the tank, and then the rest is like avoidable or dispellable for the rest of the group, which I really like. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same. I like that it's very open, so like when you do like the pull, you'll have plenty of space to run from the shades. I guess maybe depending on if you do like this type of first pull, which is pretty common nowadays. Like you can just kill everything in this corner and then run. You have plenty of room. It's not like super congested like maybe Sanguine Depths would.
The only issue is when you get to the higher levels where Wicked Bolts start to become a really big threat.
Right.
That kind of a pull on top of Necrotic, unless you're a bear.
That's true.
Yeah, because the best thing with bears here is if you're playing a bear tank, pre-incarning before you put the key in is like essential, because you get like 15 seconds as you're grouping things up, which means you have a shield up into going with Necrotic, which then you immediately roll into actually pressing your button the second time. That way you just have it rolling for 45 seconds, and by then most of the big threats are dead, or you can knock back whatever's left and you can start kiting that way, I feel.
Right. I'm probably gonna keep my route kind of the same as this was my last week's route. I mean, I usually play like in my regular group that we play with a lot, like we have a monk, so usually ring's pretty good. I think every bear should play balance affinity, so you have the knock, and then you're pretty mobile, so you can get out of it. The only thing that you can get in trouble with, I mean, that I know from experience on the bear, is like if you're fighting these gargans and you run and you try to like wild form cheetah or wild charge cheetah or whatever, the bleed is still on you and it'll fucking truck you. Like if you leave bear form or something. I don't know. I feel like the whole week is just gonna be like have 1 or 2 ways to reset and you're good. I also play mass roots, which is like not optimal, but kind of helps for shades and Necrotic, I guess.
If you're playing Prot Paladin and you're playing Alliance Dark Iron Dwarf, you're gonna get a lot of
You're
DPS
chilling.
on this week.
Yeah, for real.
Because the biggest thing is that the Dark Iron Dwarf ability will buff you based on how many bleeds you clear.
Oh shit, okay.
And so what's been told to me is it's basically another agility, another like strength pot, or another pot that you can use on.
Because you'll have the Necrotic and the Gargan bleeds.
Yeah, you just get super powered with that, and that's why
pretty
Dark
sick.
Iron. So that's why people choose Dark Iron over regular Dwarf, is because of how that stacks up, and clearing a bunch will give you that big buff.
Yeah. This pull, I feel like, especially because it's Tyrannical, and it'll be weak, so like this big pull, it was a little sketchy last week because there's 2 inspired, so I didn't really do any super high halls keys. Did like a 18, I think, where I did this pull, but it kind of hurt. But this like double pull and bring it out to over here is gonna be pretty nice this week, I think. And then just like have your group get into this room before everything starts dying, and then just run away from the shades and you're chilling.
With shades, that's probably going to be the best way. You're probably, with the shades, it's going to be very yikes for the way that other groups might pull it, where they'll pull all of that onto third boss for funnel damage.
That
Like,
I
with
haven't done yet.
With shades, it's going to be a nightmare. So yeah, if you're double pulling it, having that room out, having the tank be able to either get bopped to pull that stuff and pull it out, or stealth through. But the issue is the Gargans.
Yeah, these guys can detect.
So you'd have to like freeze the left or right Gargan, ring it out, and then sneak through.
True. Okay. Otherwise, Hall seems pretty good. Not too bad. I feel like this week isn't terrible. You just need like a little bit of coordination and you're chilling.
Yeah, for
Mist.
pugs, it'll be
Mist
interesting.
isn't too bad because everything is kind of like split up for you. The only thing that really sucks is like you have to kill the ghosts before you get through the walls, unless you can like do like a shadow meld feign death sometimes, which isn't even reliable. But
It's
this is the only
yeah,
time you actually want to like just kill all the ghosts no matter what. Like if you're in combat, you kind of just kill them.
yeah, and killing them, and then this is kind of where like killing them at the same time is going to be good. But yeah, the mists I think is going to get the time impacted the most. If you're able to have somebody to pull stuff through the walls, though, I think that'll make it easier
Make a lot of value out of that time.
Because then you're cutting some time off at the end of the dungeon where you have to go and do those pulls like north of the last boss.
Yeah. Plus, like if you're stuck fighting the shades, like you might as well pull something through the wall and use that time to get some percent. It's actually pretty good. Yeah, as long as you have someone to pull through the wall, actually, you could get some good value out of that time, I guess. Otherwise, like the bosses, I feel like Necrotic. There's two of these guys, but like they're not really meleeing you all that fast. Or these two, I guess.
Yeah.
The Necrotic's like fine.
For the dungeons we've just talked about so far, like the only scary boss maybe is Halls of Atonement, but those are caster ads, so as long as you're not pulling stuff with the bosses, unless you're a bear, so like if you're having Necrotic, you have a way to clear it, and you pull stuff onto the first boss.
Like something like this, maybe.
That's really, I would say it's only doable by a bear, and if you have
and there's shades too. I mean, I guess if you're like pressed for time.
Or
I like doing that. My group kind of hates it when I do it, so I don't do it a lot.
If you're able to pull it onto the boss, maybe near the end or closer to the end, then with shades.
Oh, true. Yeah, that makes sense.
But
the other thing I would throw in for bosses would be for paladins at least, Echelon. If you interrupt like Divine Toll, all the ads, and they come up and smack you in the face, and that can add up to stacks real quick.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say it's a good thing because I discovered that you could Divine Toll them, and I was like, oh my god. But yeah, you're right.
You're gonna want to chain that or save a stun, an AoE stun by the group in order to save yourself. That's actually another big thing. Any AoE stuns you can put into your pulls, it's going to drop those stacks and the amount of stacks you're going to gather. So if you have an ability to chain like 2 or 3 AoE stops, you're going to be a lot better than if you don't.
Cool. Okay, so Miss, we can move on through Miss. Plaguefall. I guess this pull is really the only huge necrotic concern. Also the shades. So I guess like if you're gonna do this big pull, like run in and kill everything like here. And like when they're almost dead, like ring a piece or bind or whatever you got, and then run this way from all the shades. Yes?
Yeah. Or if you're able to, because usually people like pulling slimes with the mini boss. You tend maybe if you need the funnel damage or something, but yeah, you should be very careful with the amount of necrotic stacks and the reduced healing. So if you're able to kill the mini boss and then go for the slimes, that probably would be safer for the tank.
True.
Again,
I always want to be careful, especially with necrotic to pull. And then I don't know. I guess I could see that for the like if you have like good funnel damage or something. I try not to do much with Varuth because like say like someone gets meleeed by a ghost like during Varuth, that like it's like extra healing required, I guess. But a lot of the other go ahead.
But the big thing though is since it is going to be tyrannical, you're going to be able to get a lot more than if you had necrotic fortified.
True.
So it depends. Yeah, but Varuth is a pain point. Anything that can quickly get you stacks. Third boss, Domina, that's where you're
the ads come out too, yeah. Good time for AoE stuns when the ads are once they're like grouped up. Because they'll add necrotic, right? All they do is like melee the tank, I think, right? They don't do anything else.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
the
mailing the tank and then the tank dot. If you are in a group that can't dispel it, usually you should be able to, but if you don't have that ability, you're gonna want stops. You're gonna want, if you have a resto shaman, you're gonna want to have him drop his elemental at one point if you run out of cooldowns.
True.
And as a group, like sometimes even if like you have a frost trap and you're able to trap one of the ads for a little bit and like stagger it and kill it later, you could do that too.
Yeah.
Keep it away from the
Good.
tank.
This room, I guess, is fine because like you don't really want to tank these anyway. Like you just want to get threat and then kind of like run, or like just let your group handle it. I guess that's not too bad.
If the tank has ways to slow the shades and wants to do some kind of damage with the shades as well near the end of the pulls, you can, or have something there just so that the DPS players aren't. Sometimes I've had issues where they'll just sit there a little bit and they'll get hit.
Oh,
So
true, because they get threat.
Yeah, so like balancing the threat of the ads that you're going to kill and the shades behind is can be a bit of a pain if you don't if you're not utilizing all of your slows.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Plankfall. Do Sanguine. I feel like Sanguine is one of the most annoying with the shades. So like this first pull is usually this or with this pack, and like on the jar. So if you're draw, like say the jar is what, like here, I think. So if you're here and your tank is tanking them on the jar, if you're a ranged DPS, like just be all the way over here. Like there's no reason to be on this side. I feel like Sanguine's like the most the one that you're gonna lose the most time from like having to kill shades if you're on the wrong side of the pole.
And balancing out for melee is going to be a difficult part because the melee are going to kind of want to stay on the tank because of the traps. And so as soon as shades start popping, the tank has to just keep pulling the pack further and further toward the entrance. Once they're all dead, it can be very hard for melee to get through them without getting hit.
Yeah. These guys don't. They melee the tank a good amount, right? This might be a like necrotic situation here. They do their casts. I don't know. I can't remember how hard they hit the tank. I mean, any pull where there's a lot of ads, like you might want to be careful. But
Unfortified, it's probably the most scariest pull of the dungeon besides the gauntlet. On Tyrannical, as long as you're saving cooldowns and you have ways to clear bleeds or slow them, the only pain is the big guy likes to jump. So to drop stacks is going to be really hard for the slower classes unless you have a way to taunt off the big guy. So if if a melee is able to taunt leap out or do that enough in coordination with everything else to drop stacks, or if the tank has multiple ways to drop, then you're safe. But it depends.
Yeah, this is actually the other necrotic week. Trees kind of sucks because if it's used wrong, you could get the sanguine healing. But this is like actually an OP trees week. I might play my druid a little bit or my boomy for like 15s and stuff. I like feeling useful with trees. These guys, I guess, are gonna fuck you up if you pull them. Usually, like sometimes I'll see people do like, you come over here and you pull these guys like after all this stuff, and then like do it with the jar. But I guess it's fine as long as you can reset or something. Maybe if you have like a file, but it might not be worth it if that's gonna be a problem for whatever tank you're playing.
Yeah, it depends. Like, for Necrotic Week, it might be better to grab the casters if you have the stops for it instead. I don't think the ankle biters spawn shades though, and I think the two casters there might.
Oh, okay. That's
the
nice.
ankle biters do not.
Good to know. Okay, so that's more like this is favorable for like the rest of the group, and this would be more favorable for the tank. So I guess if you can live it, definitely do these instead. You're going between the two. Yes. Yeah, that's actually a really good point because that would be a bunch of shades. I think what is it? All of these guys would spawn shades, or just the two?
It's only the two main big casters. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and depending on how strong your team feels, if you do the
Drinking my tea ferociously,
where you pull the fire guy with the buff on top of the tornado guy. So if you actually pull that together, some people like will skip past and pull the fire guy out later and do vase stuff. But if you're pulling that together, whether other stuff's killed or not, like it should be fine. You're gonna want to soothe for the big guy though, because have that guy hitting you
For sure.
through when he enrages the one, that's gonna hurt with a lot of necrotic stacks. So have a way to stop it.
For sure. I usually don't pull this. I feel like I don't do like keys high enough where like I'm super pressed for time. I usually try to play it safe and sanguine. But definitely, yeah, that is a time. If you guys can like handle it, or like if your group can handle it, whatever, like that's pretty good. I feel like there's so much happening though, because you got to bait these swirlies and you got to dodge a tornado. So like whoever's doing like the baiting is kind of like a lot of pressure, but I guess yeah, it's definitely doable. A little bit stressful.
That's why you only would do that if you have 10 stack of the buff.
Right. Yeah, true. You could burn through it real quick. Do you know about the thing? I saw something about there's like the maw mushroom. You know about this? That spawns the ads that refresh the stacks? I don't know if it got like patched. You know anything about that?
As far as I know, it hasn't, but it is.
Kind of wanted to try
you
it.
You have to use it, and then it's like after 30 seconds, when it like dies, is when it would add a stack. So you have to like plan way ahead on using it. You have to like use it before you open up the thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Stuff like
I might try that this week.
I believe it's the Rockin' Sock'em robots. Those are more reliable to use for that. But they also have like a delay on it. So again, you have to be able to like set them down ahead of time.
Yeah, it's definitely not as powerful as the sack of spiders that in season 1 they used.
This is sick for necrotic, right? Because the shield that you pick up around here clears it, if I remember right. Or is that just Grievous?
It clears. It does clear. So if you are a brave soul, or you're in a level where you're able to pull multiple packs,
are you gonna tell me to pull this together?
No.
Okay. I was like brave soul. I don't know. That's where I thought I was going.
That's called crazy, not brave.
That's called crazy. Brave is where if you're, and I only recommend this like if you have like a bear, or if you have some big things, or if you're overgearing the key. The top and the gauntlet, I've tried this before, where you pull all first of the 4 packs together.
So this, and this, and there's a jar here or here?
Jar there where your mouse is, in that second corner. So
jeez Louise. So yeah, that's an incarn pull if I ever seen one.
There's
also could maybe be done
with the shield. You can use the shield immediately upon pulling Krull. If you're able to pull
right.
There's enough time, so you could theoretically use that to keep stacks off you, or to clear any stacks. Like,
so if you use it like the second you tag the boss, it'll be up at like precisely when you need to press it, right?
Yes.
You can immune so for the duration of like that bubble, you'd be immune to necrotic. That's pretty sick, yeah.
But so like if you're a Venthyr and you're able to Venthyr gate in 2 packs, drop it. That could help. Somebody could tag the 3rd pack and pull in. But again, usually if you're doing the full pull, I use that pull onto the vase, so you get all of those stacks on together. But if you're just doing normal key, doing those first 2 packs with the shield at the beginning is going to help.
Word, for sure. Yeah, that's actually big, because you're going to get like a bunch of necrotics right away. This is actually the week where you definitely want to press it. I don't, because I'm scared, because I'm a scrub. But definitely this week, that's like huge value.
And if you are also more pressed for time, and you have some kind of a cooldown after you get Krull to 70%, the Sentinel pack at the end, and then all the stuff inside can be pulled together if you have your shield, if you have a way to remove necrotic.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about Spiteful also adds to the vases.
True. But, yeah, Sanguine's actually, it's kind of nerfed a little bit or a little more forgiving with your phase management.
But like those 2 packs in the end is also going to be a little bit nice when it comes to Spiteful, because there's only 5 mobs that can spawn Spiteful. So the Gargans, if you're able to use the shield and survive the bleeds, pulling those together might also be a
Do you
time
ever?
saver.
So what, the jar's over here, right?
Yep.
Have you ever tried? I've just thought about this. Like, if you just pull this normally, and then like tag this mob, LOS it, and use that for the jar buff, and then go boss. Because something I've been doing a little bit over here is like the jar. I think it's jars around like here. I've been pulling these guys, or not that guy, but like I've been clearing and then pulling back to the jar and then running to the boss with the buff. That way I have the buff for like most of the boss fight rather than having the buff for like this trash. But
Like,
maybe you could do something similar at the end here, but it might not be worth the time of like running around. I don't know.
for getting through the gauntlet, usually having the jar buff there is good. For the ring, there's another way you can do the ring that gives you more uptime on jar, where you pull mobs to the right instead of the
Yeah,
left.
for sure. Okay,
That-
so you do like these solo or these with this pack?
And generally, you would pull those. The Sentinel might show up, so you have to be careful. Plus the Pat sometimes will pat in there too. So that stuff, and then you would refresh it on the next jar with the feather. And if you do that well enough, you pull stuff together, you could theoretically get to the boss with a full 10 stack, or at least
Damn.
30 seconds of it.
Or-
Have jar throughout. But for Necrotic, you have to be careful with chain pulls. And of course, Spiteful is gonna give you enough anyway
Mhm.
to refresh that I don't see much of an issue.
Gotcha. Maybe not this week because of Necrotic, but what I've been doing is after I kill this guy, I'll like stealth or invispot if I'm on my pally, go and pull this guy with this, and then LOS it out here. Because usually this pull seems so slow. Who's this? This is Sagadon?
Yeah, pulling those together is a lot of people do in higher keys because it just makes it faster.
I like it because
But-
I either have Incarn on the bear, so I'm like chilling, or if I'm on the paladin, like this guy really only messes with the tank, and I have file, and I have dwarf. So basically, the first 2 things doesn't do anything, and that would clear the necrotic twice. Like that, this guy feels slow, so I've been trying to add him in there. But that's not really relevant to this week. That's just general. All right.
And yeah.
All right.
and
Let's do
yeah,
something else for a second.
No, just for the rest of the dungeon, the bosses aren't much of an issue when it comes to Necrotic. I think as we continue along, most of the dungeons, the only time Necrotic will matter for bosses will be ones with ads. So like for here, for Spires, again, as long as you're not going in with a lot of stacks onto a boss, you should be fine. And it's just going to be managing different packs.
These divers put like they like machine gun stacks on you. I feel like maybe not in the 3 pull, but like this one up here, you'll get like instantly. You'll have like 30 stacks out of nowhere if you're not like ready for it. It's caught me by surprise.
That's why you just pug and then they don't kick, so you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, they only melee you if they get kicked.
Yeah. Well,
True. Or at least they do it
do
more faster.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
They do it more because then they're not doing their cast.
True. There's some. I know a lot of people have been skipping this and sometimes this. I kind of want to get into that soon. But I also I don't like pulling trash up here, but it's just because I'm not familiar with it. Do you pull this trash up here, Firinn?
I tend to stay away from the healers and
Yeah.
It sometimes will be advantageous if you can get the kicks and do it well. The only thing I see usually people skip is going for like higher end keys is going to be just that if you go back to right before second boss, there's the pat on the previous
This one
platform
here.
there.
Yeah.
You need a mage for skip for that.
Okay. Oh, for the
And-
slow fall to jump?
Yeah, or any kind of slow fall.
Gotcha.
It is a lot easier to
I
skip
can't
them.
hear you over my wild charge.
Oh,
Oh, rip.
it's easier
Sorry.
to skip past them. It's all good. It's easier to skip past them than people think, but it does
Yeah.
require a coordinated group. So generally, for the big thing about Necrotic and Spiteful for this dungeon is because there's a lot of pulls where Spiteful will appear during the pull, you're going to have some of those issues, like the spear pull. If
Mhm.
things aren't dead in the spear, you're going to have issues because the Spiteful are going to all spawn. So in that pack, every single Ether Diver spawns one.
True.
So you're going to have 6 Spiteful on top of the other mobs not dead yet if you don't have cooldown. So it's less of a tank issue and more of the DPS needs to
Right,
have
because they're
cooldown
still going to
stuff
want to
left.
be killing, like, especially, like, the Goliath will probably still be around. And then there's
Yep.
going to be a bunch of Spitefuls. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's, like, a standard plater thing or if it's something I added to my plater, but mine will replace the Spiteful's name with the name of the target. I don't know if yours does that too, but it, like, especially on my hunter, like all like concussive shot, like if it's on like the healer or something, kind of helps you be like, oh, this one's on, like if it's on a melee and they're in melee, then like to try to help. I don't know. You say yours does that, Kyle?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was talking about the plater, like the name change thing.
Yeah, that's your plater doing that.
Okay.
Like mine doesn't do that, so.
Interesting. I'll figure out why.
Where it kind of shows below it who it's following, but it doesn't like change their name to it.
Gotcha. Okay.
There is maybe near the end when we get to just more general stuff. There's one weak aura that I always run with that it personalizes it for you. I feel like overall slow is like being able to identify if a Spiteful is targeting a healer is good, but like overall you really need to focus on to know what's targeting you if you're a DPS or a healer and avoid them, because if you know the range they're going to hit you, you can do a lot and still stay in the fight with a Spiteful. Obviously, if you have multiple ones, like in first pull of Necrotic, you're going to have some issues if you don't have stop.
I know, that's what I was just looking at here. So I think I'll link my plater in the description, I guess. And then that weak aura that you're talking about, if you want to share it with me, I'll put that in the description too. And anything else I find useful, I'll put there. Like this pull, yeah, that'll be a lot of Necrotic. But I'm just thinking on my bear, like usually I'll run in, I'll have pre-incarn and then incarn. So I'm like totally chilling on this pull. And it's Tyrannical, so it should be fine, but
the hardest thing about this pull is going to be two areas. Well, the 2 areas that will be hard for this is the soldiers that like to jump and the big guy that continually gains stacks of enrage.
right.
That
Very ugly.
seething rage.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to cause him to apply more stacks to you.
Oh,
And-
because he's attacking faster too, and refresh
Yeah.
more often. Yeah, that's actually, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So dropping stacks during the quad pull is a lot harder, and you need a lot more like harder stops. So you need a vial, you need a bop with a cancel bop macro. You need something to do that properly. And it's like, say if you're playing a tank that I like to play, at Blood DK. If you're not running Kyrian, you're going to have a lot of difficulty if stuff doesn't die fast, which
Right.
I don't run Kyrian, so I'm used to
Would be
asking
fun.
for stops and stuff like that. But as soon as if you can bait their jump and then kite away, because they don't jump back toward you for I feel like a few seconds. So it depends. Yeah, the soldiers are going to be the most difficult ones. The blight bags, they'll die. They apply stacks, but they'll die pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's the soldiers that you're going to be. Usually, what I see is the harvester's dead, and you have at least like 2 soldiers and still up.
Gotcha.
Other than that, if you have a rain, pulling Varuth is going to be pretty easy, because as long as you have if you have a class with a ranged spell that's not a tank, you're going to be able to pull Varuth without pulling it.
Yeah, I can Moonfire him on my bear, but I can't throw a hammer on my paladin, and it's very annoying.
Yeah, you have to have like either your your healer paladin or whatever class that has a range throw. Typically, it's a 40-yard range, I believe they said. I believe that's how far the boss is, and
I think so.
tank.
Yeah, it feels like max range with Moonfire, which I think is 40. So that's probably about
Yeah.
right.
So yeah, with any tank, you're not going to be able to pull it. You'll end up pulling the cleaver guy on the left, or worse yet, a gatekeeper. So you
Oh
want to
god.
have
Gatekeeper is a
ranged DPS.
zone out type of deal. For me at least. Hate these guys. Has anyone like ever pulled that on purpose? I don't know.
No.
Knocked my camera. Okay, so nothing else too bad until you get to upstairs, I feel like. This could get a little dicey because like these little guys don't seem too bad, but the fact that they jump all around the room makes it really hard to like run out and drop stats. I've found at least. So like you're tanking this guy, you've got, or whichever one puts the stacks. This MDT always confuses me. The tenderize. So like say you got like 2 tenderizes, you got like 20 stacks of necrotic. You're like, all right, I need to move a little bit. And then like one of these soldiers just like happens to be over here and he's like, hey bud, refresh. Could be annoying. I feel like this should do the intro of this video should be just bring trees. All right, see you next time. Because trees are gonna be sick up here.
He ain't wrong.
They used to like not be treesable up here, but now they are. So
Hey,
Good times.
here's an idea for your series. Keys with trees. A guide
with
for
trees.
fixes.
How to tank 101. Bring trees. I kind of miss playing Boomy just because like trees are. I feel so helpful, but I don't know. Kind of gave up on Boomy a little while ago, but I can still do like chill 15. Fun.
But for this room, I especially with Necrotic, I would highly not recommend, unless your group has full control,
How about this pull?
doing a pull, doing a double tenderizer pull. Definitely don't do
Yeah.
that. If you do have an orb and you have like the DPS to burst down a tenderizer with the upper left pull, so
Mhm.
those there, that could still be possible. Is just once you get to 3 stacks of tenderize or whatever your limit is, you need to be able to get out. So any mobs, any soldiers, anything that jumps refresh is going to give you an issue.
That's true. Yeah. Overall, not too bad because at least it's tyrannical. I kind of like that necrotic tyrannicals like not balances it out, but it makes it a little less painful. Like if it's fortified, it's like doesn't seem like that extra. Was it like 30%? But like makes a big difference. All right, so necrotic wake, and then our last one is theater of pain, which I feel like everyone does this now. Like skip these 3 till later
Yeah.
at least.
The
Seems
first
standard.
boss and Gore Chop are going to be the hardest pain points, at least in my experience, because whenever you interrupt a mob, they start mealing the tank. So every time
Oh, right.
any if you're kicking anything other than Searing Death, if your tank doesn't have a way to clear, you're going to end up the fight with like say 30 stacks on Tyrannical.
Jeez. Yeah, this
So-
is I like usually have like a teeny bit of incarn after we get in here, you know, because you got like the 20 seconds and then you set it up. So I usually try to like live a little bit and then pop incarn to like kind of stagger it. But this is gonna be a high necrotic stacks fight for sure.
Being able to have lust for that boss, especially with it tyrannical, is really a must. Like,
Yeah,
and
for
all
sure.
cooldowns. So if you have the ability to skip the first 3, you're going to be in a lot better position. Cooldown usage as well as tank survivability.
Definitely. Think anything else that. I mean, the pulls in theater aren't huge. I mean, these ghosts might fuck you up, but they also don't like do a ton to the tank.
They
I
do
feel like
spawn
this is like
Spiteful,
danger. Oh, that's true. That's true. So yeah, maybe pull these like up the stairs a little bit, or at least not like directly in the doorway where they're gonna clog up with the shades. Like try to pull them back here maybe, and then like get in front of it, or just have like a ring ready.
Yeah, that's going to be I think a death point for DPS if they're not waiting for it. That and then pretty much because of how small you're pulling things, as long as you're stunning or you're slowing, or if you need to target DPS shades down, you can do that. They will, I believe, the shades prevent you from clicking the portals.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So whichever way you choose at the first, those shades are going to need to get slowed and DPS because you have such a small area to avoid getting whacked and dying from their attacks.
Yeah. So mists and theater are the ones where like you actually need to kill them. Some occasions. These guys aren't gonna be too bad. Oh, Plague Wing might be a little sketch. This without Incarn might be a little sketch.
Doing like the first pull, if you're pulling everything, having a way to clear stacks is like most of these pulls of having a way to clear stacks is good. I still feel that the last boss or the Gore Chop boss is going to be the one going to give you the most trouble because of the ads that he spawned.
Yep, and them being two of them too.
Yeah, they will melee the tank, and if there's not a way for the tank to find some breath and drop stacks, so whenever Gore Chop does his circle attack, if you're able to run away and not grab the ads or have the ads, you can drop.
Oh yeah. Or like knock them or something.
Yeah, if you don't, you could be like me on my bloody, ending that fight with 40 stacks.
Oh yeah, Necrotic especially hurts. Okay.
Still the best class.
Word. That's I haven't really tried it much. Want to though. Cool. All right, so we kind of went through all the dungeons. Like how hard do you think this week is on a scale of like 1 to 10? Maybe that's a weird scale. I guess 1 being this week sucks and 10 being like pretty free. I feel like it's not bad. Like maybe like a 7 or something. What do you guys think?
I kind of compare it to the other Necrotic week, which is with Sanguine, so it's about 100% better than that one. So.
True. Yeah, especially as a tank, like the shades don't really affect you that much. So whereas Sanguine is like a full-time job for the tank as well as Necrotic, so it's kind of like easy.
Also, it's the fact that like your crowd control and slows is good for both affixes.
True. Yeah.
So you can use like the same CC is helpful for both of them instead of like the Sanguine one where it's actually detrimental to Sanguine but helps with Necrotic.
Sense. Then who do you think the pressure is on most? I feel like it's pretty even spread out. Like the tank, obviously you need to control your Necrotic, but like everyone else is also under attack by the ghosts. So I feel like everyone's under a decent amount of pressure.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty fairly evened out week because of that, because everyone kind of has a little bit more paying attention to do instead of it being all focused on like one person kind of thing.
Yeah. The other Necrotic Sanguine, that was just like felt like so much pressure. This one still. Good tanks for this week. I guess Dwarf, Kyrian, Paladin would be top of the list.
That would be top.
Bear's pretty high up, I'd say.
Bear would primarily live the most, I feel, if you wanted to do big pulls in Sanguine Depths and Necrotic Wake. The first pull there can be sketchy as a Paladin, but if you have all your clears up and rolling and you're able to go and grab the mini boss and let stuff come up again, then you're pretty much set.
That makes sense. I guess Monk is strong, but no matter what the spec, a Monk is pretty sick this week, I think. Especially sweeping the shades can really save. Like if you get like caught in like a cluster of ghosts and then you sweep it or ring it, like that's sick.
Yeah, having any kind of stops is going to be good. So if you're on Horde and you're playing a Tauren, that's going to be good. Even like a Tauren Paladin, because you're going to be able to stomp into blind. Especially in like places like Theater of Pain, where you have like the 5 target cap of stomp, doesn't really give too much issue.
I guess DK's kind of in a bit of trouble, needs a little bit of help this week. And what about Warrior? DK and Warrior kind of on the struggle side, I think.
If you can play with a Frost Mage, that's going to make your life a lot easier.
Frost Mage and a Boomy.
One thing that does help Warrior this week, I will point out, is that you don't have a lot of self healers to begin with. So
okay.
Having reduced healing doesn't really hurt you as much.
A lot of your tankiness is your physical mitigation. Yeah, true. That does suck on Bear. Like, my frenzied regens are a lot. Like, even if it's just reduced by like 40%, like it fucking hurts. Like 20 stacks or whatever. Good healers for this week. I guess Monk, like I had said. I feel like Resto Druid's really sick.
Priest is undervalued this week. Just
for the grip. Yeah, that's true.
Faith.
Grip, and they have that knock.
You kite them away, and then you just have them pull you back over somewhere else. It can easily get the 6 seconds now with the reduced time on that.
If you're running with a shaman, make sure that they're saving their spirit link for the tank, because being able to heal the tank through 40 stacks of necrotic is going to be
true.
big.
Yeah, and then you just heal the rest of the party. That is pretty sick. Good DPS to bring. I guess, like I said, Monk. Been saying Monk a lot. Boomy, obviously. Frost Mage. I feel like I like Hunter this week too. Just like keep a tar trap down 100% of the time. I try to do that on my Hunter like all the time.
Can help a ton
yeah. And concussive shot. If it's like someone's being chased, you just throw a concuss out. I feel like not a lot of people use it, or maybe I just don't notice. Probably they do, and I just don't notice, but pretty underrated ability.
Having players that know their utility. If you have a warrior...
Yeah, across the board.
If you have a warrior or Frost Decay, not as much for Unholy, but Frost Decay does have it. And a stop, I believe. At least they have a stop. They have their Chilling Breath.
Oh, okay. I don't know shit about Frost Decay. Yeah. Couldn't even tell you what they have. They can grip shades onto other people and troll. Big utility.
Yeah, they can run out with their slappy hands, pull them all onto themselves and die.
I mean, I've never mass gripped shades onto someone before. No way.
Oh, you know what? Actually, unironically, because if you grip a shade, it's not going to start attacking you. So, like, say your healer is, like, in the back, like, under attack, you could just grip that shade into melee. And, like, by the time it gets back to your healer or your range, like, that's safe.
Be helpful, but...
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but pretty good.
Other things for DPS,
For a second, I thought I wasn't recording. I was going to scream. Sorry, I am. Go ahead.
Good. For other DPS, you're going to have anything that kills stuff in a staggered manner. You're going to have a little bit hard time. You have to plan around them for priority damage. So like Arcane Mage, and like have anything that will cause an Arcane Mage have to stop casting and move is going to be a downside. So like Shades, anything like that. Like you're going to want to have things planned out for your group, or have like a general idea before you start the key. If you're playing with a class that doesn't playing with a group that doesn't have a lot of slows.
Gotcha. Okay, and then the last thing on my list is what dungeon is hard and what dungeon is good. I guess like a best and worst, maybe. I feel like it's hard to say. I feel like Sanguine Depths is gonna be the most. Sanguine Depths and Myths are gonna be the most slowed down by the shades.
Next difficult would be the other side. If you're
Yeah. Dude,
not
I
as
love.
good.
I could just run Ardenweald Wing, like on repeat. Like if that was just a key, the whole key was Ardenweald. Like, I love that placement. This is the most
I love
fun. I mean, because I play bear, obviously, like the cakewalk, but nice. Like Ardenweald Wing with a bear, and then like with trees or ring. Forget about it. Chillin'.
Yeah. And
Or
then
binding shot.
Yeah, binding shot. Anything to do to make because you're getting the bird stacks on top of the bleed, on top of the
True.
necrotic wound. So
Actually, yeah, it might get a little spicy.
I would personally say that the other side might be a bit easier. Well, the bosses themselves are difficult. So Hakar is just gonna make. I feel like Hakar itself, just like it being tyrannical, is gonna make the other side a lot better than somewhere like Halls of Atonement. But Halls of Atonement suffers from a similar issue where you're gonna have big pulls, you're gonna have a lot of bleeds. If you're not managing stacks, you could easily wipe your key.
Yeah, that's true.
Easiest I feel is going to be Necrotic Awake if you're able
True.
to manage the jumps.
That's pretty standard. Necrotic Wake is like, I don't know. I'm surprised they let it be this way. I kind of don't like. I was gonna talk about this maybe if we do the tier list thing, but like I kind of don't like how easy Necrotic Wake is like supposed to be or perceived to be. So like if you don't +2 it, like it feels bad. I don't know. But this went longer than I thought it would. So I don't know if we want to do the tier list thing or if we want to do that another day. There's no rush on it. Maybe we could do that. Let's maybe get more people in Discord. I think it'll be a fun like 5-person tier list type of deal.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It would be a good argument fun.
Yeah.
From the perspective of different players.
Yeah, get like a
different
healer or
ranks.
two, a DPS or two. Cool. Okay, so I guess that's where I'll wrap the weekly thing. I don't know what it's called yet, but if you guys have ideas, let me know. Yeah. Good luck in your keys, everybody, and comment. I guess. I don't know. What class did we forget to mention is gonna be OP? I don't know how to do outros. Sorry.
You'll get it. I think
Bye.
a lot of it comes down to scripting, I feel. So,
True. I don't really want to edit it, so I'm just gonna leave it as awkward as that was. That'll be good.
Well, thanks
So I'll
for
cut it there.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks for